Allora, avverto subito tutti che per una tempesta di neve Charles non si farà vedere, si sentirà solo audio. Per chi non lo conoscesse, è stato ed è un character designer, director, autore che ha lavorato per tantissimi studi, ma soprattutto è molto molto famoso per aver fatto l'art director di Crash, di Spyro e anche di Jack and Dexter, il primo dei Precursor Legacy, e non solo, ha fatto anche l'art director di Crash Nitro Kart. Hi, Charles.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you very much. To whom am I speaking?
Sono Dario, il gestore del canale, l'intervistatore di oggi.
Dario?
Ciao, piacere.
It's nice to meet you too. So how are you today?
I'm fine, thank you.
What city are you in?
Io sono in Pontedera, near Pisa. Do you know the landing tower?
Yes.
Perfect.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. You got some interesting stuff in the back.
Yeah.
Like Mickey Mouse. You got Mickey Mouse.
Yeah.
Wizard.
Yeah.
That's Fantasia.
And this is the penguin from Hardman Studios, Wallace and Gromit, some mangas, some figures from Cuphead. Do you know the video game from studio MDHR? Some other stuff.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
You got a nice setup.
Of course, I'm a big fan of Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, and Jack and Dexter, and other stuff.
Thank you.
Allora, partirei dall'inizio, ok? Allora, Charles, il tuo primo lavoro risulta essere l'assistente animatore non creditato di The Secret of Nimh di Don Bluth, il meraviglioso film di Don Bluth. E che cosa ti ricordi di quell'esperienza? Ed è vero che Bluth dirigeva il film seguendo l'operato del vecchio Walt?
Well, actually, I didn't work on The Secret of Nimh. I was in Kansas City, working at a company called Hallmark, which is a big greeting card company. I don't know if you're familiar with it in Europe, but it's a major company here. I was very much influenced by The Secret of Nimh, and that's what kind of like pushed me to pursue a career in animation, among other things. When I got to Burbank, I picked up this freelance job. When I finally found a place to live, I had no furniture. I just worked on the floor, and I drew a couple of pictures for this person that I met. His name was David Kirshner, and he was doing something, and he paid me a little bit of money for these layouts, and that became American Tail. And that was the film that Don Bluth animated, and Steven Spielberg was an executive producer, and that's the film that I got going. So there must have been a misunderstanding. I mean, I love The Secret of Nimh, but I cannot say that I worked on that. But I knew people that worked on it. They were brilliant artists, absolutely brilliant artists. So.
Allora, la prima notizia è che tutte le fonti che citano Charles Zembillas devono finalmente aggiornare le fonti e togliere la citazione del suo credito all'interno di Secret of Nimh, che è citato dappertutto. Ecco dove si è creato il misunderstanding. Bello, tutti citano Nimh, ma in realtà è Fievel. Vabbè, interessante.
Do you know who Five-O Moskowitz, the character of Five-O Moskowitz?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
That one? That was the character that I created. I created the character, and then I started creating the environments, the basic concept of it, and then I never heard from him again. I mean, I did a couple years later, and then I just kind of gave him a piece of my mind,
In Italian is non ci sono gatti in America, però sì, è la stessa cosa. Invece questo è vero, almeno che Charles non mi smentisca, chiaramente, che per molti anni hai lavorato come character designer ad alcune serie e film della Filmation, come She-Ra, Princess of Power, che è lo spin-off di He-Man, che tra l'altro sta di nuovo facendo parlare di sé per un rilancio cinematografico, l'ennesimo. E visto che io sono di un'altra generazione, perché sono nato nel 90 e non ho mai capito il fascino per questi personaggi, mi puoi spiegare, tu che li hai studiati, li hai disegnati, come mai questi personaggi hanno funzionato così tanto, soprattutto come giocattoli?
I don't know. When we started working on the show, I didn't think it was going to be a success. I thought it was going to be a flop. And I learned a big lesson from that. Never to judge anything until, it comes out and you see how it does. But it was fun. It was strange. It it was very artistically stifling in many ways to work on the show because I had to conform to a style. You know, like the characters are based on the toys, at least at the beginning. I didn't really think much of the toys. We would have liked to design our own characters, you know, these characters that were meant to be toys, but they didn't necessarily adapt to animation. But after that, you know, when we started getting going, you know, we there was a lot of opportunity for us to put our creative input in there, you know, but in many ways, I couldn't break out on He-Man. I had no idea. I mean, who could have known back then that it would turn out to be the way that it did? Do you want to see a picture of He-Man that I just drew last night?
Yeah, of course.
At least I can show you some artwork.
Sure.
Yeah. I did this for my student, and I did this just goofing around last night. You know, I had the idea of like He-Man holding a sword so tightly that it's actually cut his hand. You know. It's not quite done, but I hope you like it. And I never stopped drawing He-Man over the years. I mean, I would just do it just because I feel like drawing He-Man. Because I feel a special bond with the character. Nobody put pencil to paper earlier than I did with the He-Man series. So I feel a special bond. And I did this as a class demonstration. And I did this in 2012. So I'm like organizing it now.
Bellissimo. Posso farti una domanda tecnica, Charles? Ma perché... se posso chiedere, stai usando ancora Photoshop CS3 che è una versione molto vecchia? È questione di abitudine o c'è altro?
I'm just used to it. Yeah, I have a more recent Photoshop. I don't know. It just works for me. I just use it in such a basic way. I only use one brush. You know, I don't get into brushes and stuff because I just use one brush because I was trained to paint. So I approach Photoshop differently, and I don't need other brushes to create certain textures and stuff. I just pretend like I'm painting. I do like Procreate, you know. I'm starting to get into that, but I'm just so just so busy all the time. I can show you lots of art if you're interested in it.
Yeah, of course.
So,
yeah.
You know, I'll show you. How about if I show you the very first drawing of He-Man that was ever done?
Yeah.
For the animated series.
Yeah, that's cool. Eccolo qua. Bellissimo.
This is the very first drawing of He-Man that was ever done. I had the toy in front of me, and I drew this. By the way, I still have that action figure and the Skeletor doll that we used to design the characters from. And then once the look had been established, there were 3 people that were developing it, this was my first job in animation. And after they set the style of the character, that's when I started to draw He-Man, and this was a practice drawing. Both of these drawings are January 1983. From this to this was impossible this time yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
Because I did this, you know, like last night, so it's a very interesting comparison. When we first started working on He-Man, we had to design all the characters that Mattel had, you know, on the market. So we got all their characters. We got He-Man, Skeletor, Ram Man, you know, Man-at-Arms, Battle Cat. And then after those characters are done, we had to start developing new characters for the series. And this is the very first one, the very first character that was created from the studio for a He-Man episode right here. That's the master copy. Studio's name taped to the top there.
Lizard Man.
Yeah, this is a Lizard Man. And this is what I did. This is my very first character that I did for He-Man. And not only that, that's my first character rotation that I ever did. So I didn't know what I was doing when I was, you know, half the time when I was at that studio, because I was just trying to figure it out. So I did this, and they were very happy with it. It wasn't animated very well, but you know. But I did I did like 3 designs that were even better, which I have in storage somewhere, that were very good concept sketches, but they kind of pulled it back, they toned it down, and they decided to go with this. So yeah, this has never been seen before. This is the first time that anybody is seeing it, other than, you know, like close friends and stuff. And I didn't plan on this. Just tell me if you're happy with it.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
I would do He-Man like spontaneously. I would like spontaneously sketch He-Man. And there's a few drawings here that I did in front of my students, that I would like to share with you. So I would always draw He-Man whenever. I didn't need a reason to draw He-Man. It just felt like, here's another one. Like, He-Man is mine. He-Man is my Superman.
Okay.
So I just...
You're obsessed with it.
So Sometimes. It just depends on the mood that I'm in. And I'm obsessed with them now. Because I tell you that it's just, I'm going to be drawing a lot of He-Man, I think. This was another sketch I did, which turned out pretty good. I did this 2024, so that was a couple years ago. And when did I do this? October 22nd, 2012, just like the other one. I did this one at the same time that I did that other one. So I hope the movie is successful. I'm really looking forward to it.
Sì, per noi è un onore, ma non solo credo di non parlare solo a nome mio, ma anche a nome della chat. Per noi è un onore vedere questi primi disegni. A noi che piacciono i fumetti, l'illustrazione, il metodo creativo che c'è dietro a ogni prodotto artistico, insomma, per noi questo è tutto grasso che cola, è tutta manna dal cielo.
Thank you. Well, this is good. I'm glad that your group is seeing it. You know, I mean, I have so much stuff that is historically important in animation nobody's ever seen. You know, do you remember in She-Ra, the She-Ra series?
Yeah.
Remember the little character that appeared at the end of each episode, the Looky character? He would hide somewhere in the scene and he would pop out, and he would tell you the moral of the story at the end. This is another first. Nobody's seen this. It's not in any books or anything like that.
That's great.
That's the very first drawing of Looky.
That's cute.
Right there. And I'll tell you something, of all the characters that I've ever done in my life, I would have to say that Looky is probably my favorite. And they were so happy with me, and this character. You know, he appeared every day. So 4:30 in the afternoon every day, I knew that I could go to a television set and turn it on, and there would be Looky. What they did was, the studio was so happy with this character that they gave me the ink and paint chart for it as a gift. Nobody's seen this. Nobody has seen any of this stuff.
Bellissimo.
Eccolo. This is the color chart back when they used to do ink and paint by hand, when they used to paint cells by hand. See?
Yeah.
This is from this pose here.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very colorful, a cute character. Later in the series, where He-Man's identity and She-Ra's identity was revealed to somebody, it was revealed to this character here. I forgot what episode it was named, but he was very special.
Bellissimo. Ora vorrei fare un passo in avanti, perché te non hai lavorato solamente per la filmation a tutta questa roba, ma hai lavorato anche per la DAC Entertainment, che sempre come character designer, che un po' come la filmation voleva tanta quantità, magari rinunciando un po' alla qualità, perché c'era fretta, c'era voglia di produrre il più possibile. Quando lavoravi a Ghostbusters, a Captain N, a Sonic, a tutte queste serie animate che tra l'altro hanno incrociato anche a volte la produzione con Mediaset, che ai tempi era ancora Fininvest, quali erano i tuoi ritmi di lavoro? Cioè, eri felice di lavorare a tutto questo e quindi ti facevi passare addosso tutto, oppure a volte era faticoso lavorare a tutte queste serie, a produrre tutti questi fotogrammi, penso ore e ore ogni giorno?
No, it wasn't tiring. Deke was easy to work for.
Okay.
And one of the reasons why I was working there is because I had so many independent things that I was doing that I didn't have to make a commitment to that studio like I would if I had been at Disney or Warner's. They just control you. You know, you can't do any freelance, you can't do this, can't do that. But Deke was easy, and I had a really good time there. I had a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. It was, don't get me wrong, but it was just a lot easier. I worked on every single Saturday morning cartoon for one of the major American networks that year. I worked on every single show at the NBC network. So there was a lot of stuff I was doing that year. It wasn't demanding. It wasn't artistically demanding. I do have some designs from that time. I got 3 of them. This is from the 1991 season.
Okay.
Again, nobody's ever seen this. I was authoring a character design book, but I just haven't had a chance to work on it. And that's from Deke. And that's from Deke. In 1991, what we were doing was we were redesigning Captain N.
Yeah.
There was a show in the 1980s called Captain N. And we were redoing it for the 90s, something like that. These were already characters that were in the series. I was just reworking them. So this is from Deke. And this is also from Deke. This is Captain N. This is the lead character. And this is also from that time. It's interesting because my style is kind of like 80s here. And this was another character from that. that was a very, very, very fun year.
That's great. Thank you very much for sharing this stuff.
You're welcome. You want to see Daxter?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This is something else that I don't think anybody's ever seen. I was designing Daxter. I had the character down, but I wasn't sure about the ears.
Sembra marsupilami.
Naughty Dog never showed anybody this stuff. They give a false impression about the creation of this character. So you're the first to see it.
Bellissimo, thank you very much. Dexter di Jack and Dexter, The Precursor Legacy, ragazzi. Ha fatto la director anche di quel gioco lì, il primo capitolo della saga di Jack and Dexter. Stupendo.
I knew what the character was going to look like. I wasn't sure about the ears. It went for something like this, and like this, and like this. But this is all facial expression models for Daxter.
Benissimo. La prossima era proprio sul 1996, quando viene avvicinato appunto da Naughty Dog, gli stessi che hanno creato Jack and Dexter, per il design di un nuovo personaggio, di una nuova mascotte che doveva cercare di bagnare il naso a Mario e a Sonic. Ovviamente stiamo parlando di Crash Bandicoot. Ecco, allora io devo capire una cosa, Charles, com'è andato l'incontro? Cioè, come ti hanno avvicinato al progetto, perché hanno scelto te, ci sono stati dei provini oppure sono andati diretti su di te? Se sono andati diretti su di te, perché hanno scelto te alla prima? Insomma, sono molto curioso di come è andato l'incontro proprio e di come ti sei approcciato al progetto.
They didn't go directly to me, and they went to directly to my friend, and his name is Joe Pearson, and it was December of 1994, so it was a lot earlier than people realize. I worked with them for a long time. We were in many ways, we were very close. And he was working at Universal Studios. And somebody approached him at Universal about getting involved with a video game. And he didn't have time for it, so he brought me into it. He gave me the project. And then a short while later, what he was working on fell through. So he came back into the project, and I just kind of let him take it over because it was his. It was his baby. And that's how it started, We didn't realize what we were doing. We didn't realize we just didn't realize what we were doing. Video games were very looked down upon by the animation industry in Hollywood. So if you were working in animation, you were like the A-list was feature films, B-list was television, C-list was like direct-to-video and commercials, and way at the bottom was video games. So it was almost like humiliating to be working on a video game, but I didn't care. I thought it was going to be fun, and it was, So that's how it started. That's how it began. You want to see the very first page of Crash Bandicoot concepts that I ever did?
Yeah, why not? Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay, that's it.
Oh, Dio, era un botolino.
That's my very first pass on Willie the Wombat. That's what we're calling it. Willie the Wombat. He became Crash after we finished the project. Because we authored it, we created it, and that's another thing that I would appreciate that your listeners and viewers understand that Joe and I created it. It wasn't Naughty Dog. They hired us to do it, and it caused a lot of problems. Because Joe wouldn't work with them after the first game, but I did. And then I finally got to the point where they were doing the same thing with me. But at this time, this is what it looked like. And they went with Joe's design, which was fine. And that's what we know today. But this was my ground zero with Crash.
E quando si legge la storia di Crash Bandicoot, si parla ovviamente dei Looney Tunes, di Tasmania, infatti si vede l'influenza di Tasmania, si vede anche la ricerca di Gavin e Rubin di creare una mascotte su un animale antropomorfo ma sconosciuto, infatti appunto ci fu il Wombat, poi il Bandicoot, poi fu scelto il Bandicoot eccetera. Io voglio però chiederti, dato che ti ho qui con me Charles, se oltre ai Looney Tunes, oltre alle già citate influenze dei Looney Tunes, ci sono altre influenze nel tuo modo di disegnare Crash, perché comunque in tutti i design che ci hai fatto vedere io sento tanta l'influenza di Don Bluth, parecchio, e quindi non vorrei che magari anche dentro Crash nei design definitivi ci fosse quella goccia di Don Bluth che poi l'ha portato al design definitivo, però magari ci sono altre anche influenze che io non conosco.
I met Don Bluth a couple of times. I actually had dinner with him a few years ago. He's a very, very nice man. Wonderful, wonderful man. And probably we will never see another Don Bluth again. Never. Because you're not going to have somebody that's going to stand up at Disney and say, I'm taking half of the studio out with me and I'm going to do my own movie. You know, that just doesn't happen anymore. So he's a great man. And to answer your question, I am influenced by Don Bluth. I'm influenced by Looney Tunes. I'm influenced by a lot of things, and they all mix up together to come out with something that is unique. And I always strive for that. I don't believe in like great artists steal. You know, I don't believe that at all. So I always try to give them something different. Crash Bandicoot we were directed to think in terms of like the Tasmanian Devil for that character. But at the same time, he was telling us to do something different. So that's what I was trying to do. I think Joe just kind of like pulled out his nose. Crash came out as his own personality. Was the kind of like the seed for it. Yeah, I can show you neocortex. There's neocortex.
Yeah,
right
that's beautiful. That's cool.
Okay. You want me to just keep on going?
Yeah.
Dario, you just there.
Yeah, of
right.
course. Yeah. Sorry, I'm overstimulated right now because this stuff is very important for me.
You want to see what Aku look like?
Yeah. Of course.
Uka is the mean one, right? He's the evil one, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is what Aku looked like. By the way, that's a Greek word. It means listen. You'll be very surprised by this. This is what Aku started.
He's a mouse?
He was a light that followed Crash around. No, he was like, we didn't know what he was. They didn't know what he was. They wanted like a guiding light. These are all different concepts for a character that would be like kind of like a Tinkerbell, you know? She's like wearing a candle on her head, you know, like little genies and stuff.
Ma Charles, mentre cerchi, dato che è un animale, era un altro animale modificato da Cortex con le volvorei oppure era una creatura delle isole Wumpa? Domanda tecnica. Se sta.
I don't know. Joe and Jason Rubin and those guys were all working together on. I was just kind of like backup for Joe. Like Joe would design this character, and I would just like clean it up and rework it and just make sense out of it. Because Joe is not a character designer in the sense of like production. He can come up with good ideas for characters, but they have to be like solid. You know, you have to engineer them for animation, and that's what I would do. But it was this character here, this drawing here that they got Aku from. He was supposed to be small because he's carrying a match that followed Crash around.
And this
that was the original concept.
A prototype of one of the Komodo brothers, maybe?
Yes.
Ok.
Yeah, that's a Komodo brother. Right there.
Ora faccio una domanda un po' piccante in tutti i sensi. Tawna si è ispirata a Pamela Anderson, cioè si sa, è una roba risaputa, eccetera. Però per cercare di vendere anche il gioco ai bambini non fa scandalizzare nessuno, è stata molto ridimensionata, diciamo così, nel design per renderla un po' meno erotica, e questa cosa poi è stata totalmente eliminata perché è scomparsa Tawna nel secondo e terzo capitolo. Hai magari un primo design con la prima versione veramente procace di Tawna ispirata alla Pamela Anderson dei vecchi tempi, magari per far vedere quanto è stato il nerf tra proprio grazie mille. Perfetto, non c'è stato bisogno nemmeno della traduzione.
But look at this is another one. This is Tawna. Now, nobody came to me and said we want her to be Pamela Anderson, you know? They just said we want, like a general idea. Like we want a sexy character that's very, like sultry and all this kind of stuff, and kind of a dumb blonde but still kind of smart, and just things like just stuff like that. So they give me very general terms, and I would give them a bunch of designs, and they would like pick one that they were partial to. And this is also an early design of Tawna.
Boy.
So this was like the second pass right there. That is a henchman from the first game. I think like one of the
Pinstripe, maybe? Pinstripe Potoru?
Yeah, Pinstripe, right. This right here is not a Naughty Dog. This was the logo, the character I designed for Naughty Dog. I just kind of gave it to him as kind of like hey guys, your logo is so terrible. I've got this idea. Since we're designing all these characters for this game, why don't we just come up with a character that's called Naughty Dog? And that's what this was. And this is 1990, very early 1995, probably January of 1995. Yeah, she was a lot of fun to work with. That's even more. I think the first time I did Crash Bandicoot's girlfriend, she was not like Tawna at all. She was not, and her name here, by the way, is Carmen. I don't have a copy of it on I haven't scanned it, but she's completely different. She's like a streetwalker. Has a cigarette hanging from her mouth and all this kind of stuff. Very, very opposite of what Carmen or Tawna turned out to be.
And is true Pinstripe Puturu is inspired by the Godfather movie, or is a fake? Is a fake?
Probably.
Okay.
Probably. See, but Joe was talking with them about all the characters and the story and all that stuff. He wrote the production Bible. So what I was doing was I was like, just kind of like riding in the back seat, and whatever these guys needed from what they were coming up with, that's what I would try and give them. But Joe was the one who was coming up with the ideas, along with Jason and probably Mark Cerny. There were no employees for Naughty Dog when we started. There were none.
Okay.
There were none. It was Joe and me, and meeting with those guys at Universal.
Io, Charles, ti vorrei tenere altre 2 ore, però purtroppo il tempo sta stringendo. Provo a farti un altro paio di domande perché non voglio rapirti. Ti voglio fare una domanda sull'evoluzione della saga, perché comunque poi hai lavorato anche su Crash Bandicoot 2 e Crash Bandicoot 3. Alcuni animatori della Pixar, per esempio, tra Toy Story 1 e Toy Story 3 hanno rifatto gli stessi personaggi, Woody, Buzz e compagnia, ma in realtà sono design completamente nuovi perché la tecnologia è avanzata e hanno dovuto aggiungere poligoni, e quindi di conseguenza tutti, anche nuove texture eccetera, quindi tutti i personaggi sono cambiati. Di conseguenza anche Crash ha avuto un'evoluzione artistica e stilistica che è andata di pari passo con con l'avanzamento tecnologico. Ecco, te come ti sei adattato col tuo design, con la tua art direction a questo avanzamento di Crash? Hai cambiato qualcosa nel personaggio, nel tuo stile? Hai aggiunto le cose, penso per esempio ai Lab Assistant, no? Cioè quei maledetti testoni soci di Cortex che nel primo sono modello base, mi pare, nel 2 e nel 3 sono milioni di versioni con tanti costumi diversi. Ecco, però questa è una delle prime cose che mi viene in mente. C'è anche Coco, l'introduzione di Coco, insomma, come ti sei adattato all'avanzamento tecnologico di Naughty Dog e dei successivi capitoli della saga?
Well, I really didn't have to do anything different designing Coco or Dingodile or Engine or any of those other characters. Because it was still kind of, it was still the same console. It was still the same technology. And what we were doing was just designing the characters, but keeping in mind that they have to be simple. And the polygon limit wasn't very high. But that changed with PlayStation 2. And what I'm looking for right now is the one drawing that changed my style for good, or at least expanded my style. But there's one drawing that I did that I feel is probably one of the most important drawings in the history of video game development. This is from Jack and Daxter. It went from 500 polygons to 10,000. So we could increase the amount of detail in each character by 20 times. So all of a sudden thickness became an important issue. This drawing here should be in the Video Game Hall of Fame. There's a feeling of thickness, but it's really just everything is kind of flat. Look at the straps, the hair. And I did this in 2000. It pioneered the way you design for video games. You know? So there was nothing before that demanded that you design this way. So this was the first.
Allora, Charles, ti lascio, guarda, con un'ultimissima domanda. È una mia curiosità che ho sempre avuto, perché te hai lavorato anche al primo capitolo di Spyro, non solo, però insomma hai lavorato anche al primo Spyro, e Spyro già ai tempi era un gioco più carino, dolce, aggraziato rispetto al più comico e demenziale, diciamo così, Crash Bandicoot. E ecco, lì come invece hai trasformato il tuo stile? È stato difficoltoso adattarsi al mood di Spyro, che era un po' l'opposto di quello di Crash, oppure anche lì sei andato dritto senza problemi?
No, it's not a problem at all. I don't have any Spyro stuff that I can get quickly, so you'll have to excuse me. Maybe we can do something later on.
No problem.
They just wanted a dragon. I did one of him, like a goofy dragon, real goofy. And then we explored, I had this idea, like, let's try something cute. I explained to them like how cute proportions work when you're designing a character. And then I started doing some sketches, and I just knew right from the beginning that I had them. I nailed them. And that was the middle of the second day. And the reason why Spyro is so important to me, Spyro was pure. Nobody was telling me, you know, like, make it look like this guy or make it look like that. You know, it was just pure. The way that described the character, he was like a very bratty 8-year-old. They toned him down when they came out with the game. That's what he was intended to be. When I got Spyro, I did a few of the other characters. I came back, I think maybe the following week or something, and that was it. You know, I wasn't as involved with Spyro nearly as much as I was with Crash. You know, after they had Spyro, you know, they just kind of went off on their own. But I had opportunities to work with Crash a few more times. Yeah, so that's the story behind Spyro.
Allora, Charles, ovviamente se più avanti vorrei fare un'altra chiacchierata, qua la porta è sempre aperta, ma più che altro perché volontariamente hai formato la mia infanzia e penso l'infanzia anche di tanti altri della mia generazione, quindi ti ringrazio di essere stato qui con me, ti ringrazio di essere stato qui con la community, grazie ovviamente anche a Chiara per aver tradotto tutto alla perfezione. E quindi grazie del tuo tempo, Charles, e ti auguro ovviamente buon lavoro. Ancora grazie per averci fatto vedere tutto questo ben di Dio che per noi è preziosissimo.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun with this. I love the Italian people. I love Italy. I hung out in Rome for about a week one time. I had a great time there. And my father could actually speak a little bit of Italian.
Oh, okay.
We were Greeks, and it was occupied by Italy at the time, and he grew up speaking Italian. So, you know.
Senti là, che dici?
I love to listen to you talk because Italian is not spoken, it's sung. Thank you very much. Tell your people I said hello. I had a wonderful time, and we'll do this again in the future, okay?
Thank you. Of course, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye.